Everybody was disrupted by the amount of people the flow that was coming in. There's no way to do it through my office. There's just too many people that came in. So we had booths set up. They came there, but it was just too loud, and so we ended up, after 2 days, moving up here for the remainder.
You weren't complaining, were you, Eddie?
No, me?
Yeah, you.
No, he wasn't complaining.
So that's why you are going to, that's why you have the increase in the precinct officers?
No, I did use precinct offices that year. We ended up adjusting the budget
Okay.
that fall. It wasn't in the spring budget because, again, they didn't give us any guidance, or we weren't sure what we were going to do. So we had increased the budget that fall.
Okay.
So based on what I used last time, I used those numbers on what I did. But I did need to use poll workers to do it. We just couldn't do it.
So when you said you had almost 30%, was that out of total turnout or 30% of the voters for that election?
30% of the voted, 30% showed up for early voting.
Okay. Did you find overall there was a higher turnout?
It was about the same.
Okay.
You know, give or take a couple percent, but it made it easier and more convenient
Yep.
for them. I was hoping that we would be closer to the 100% mark, but it didn't.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? So the recommended budget before us is $28,280.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you.
Thank
Deb,
you.
before you leave, we've got just a couple things in your CIP, right? I want to open that up if anyone has any questions. I know we've normally budgeted in $10,000 a year for, I'll call it bookbinding. I know it's a
Yeah,
lot more than that.
preservation.
Preservation of book stuff on that. And I'll continue to remind the CFO that I'd rather see that in your operating budget, which is not a big deal because it's $10,000 a year, and he says I can't do it, so we're not going to have that conversation. Right, Ed? Is that pretty much how it goes?
Well, it's my understanding that this is not a permanent cost on an annual basis. It's to at least preserve the records that are currently in the vault downstairs. So at some point, this project will be completed.
It's going to be
Yeah,
It's going to be when?
a while.
a while, so I don't want to define a while, because
All
but it
right,
won't be forever.
sure, on that, okay. That's fine.
But we'll all be dead by the time it's done.
And he will be retired.
All right, that's fine. And that would be, here we go, under the clerk. That is the only item. For some reason, I thought there was an additional item in there. Any other questions on the CIP? We're not voting on that, but for Deb while she's here. Thanks for your time. We do appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
And have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Our next budget is info technology. Mike, come on up and join us. Nice to see you every year.
Am I going?
Hello.
There'll be a little bit more on the CIP, but let's go over the operating budget first.
Sure.
This way I don't forget to have us vote on something.
So the operating budget, it's mostly the same, software licenses, maintenance, support renewals. We have a couple big changes this year. One of them is with the People GIS permitting software. That's a system that was approved by the Board of Selectmen. We applied for an IT grant to get most of the system in place, and this is just the yearly maintenance cost to keep that up to date. One of the other big items is server warranties. This is something we've done in the past budgets, but not in the last couple of years because we received some brand-new servers about 3 years ago. So this just keeps those under warranty as their warranty runs out. Another item that's a one-time fee is a Munis upgrade. This happens every few years, just need to update the software for the financial program.
Okay. So with those last two, the server warranties and the Munis, those are not expected to be every year continued expenses?
The server warranties would be until we phase out those servers.
Okay. That's fine. And the other is just the maintenance and that kind of stuff. Pretty big increase or new costs on the
Right.
APMS and the HPMS maintenance.
It was about that, yeah.
Yeah, we got $28,000 grant to put towards the purchase for that permitting software system that Mike was talking about. So that's already been installed, that's up and running.
Yes.
So it makes it more accessible for the public or the residents that need to do business in code or in the office that Darlene is a department head for, by allowing online access and permitting capabilities. So it is a good software package.
So was that an offset this year, or was that last year?
So the $28,000 was upfront cost. Mike has built in the support cost
Yeah, for
for
this year.
the beginning with the 19 budget.
The 19 budget, okay. I'll open that up. Kev, question?
Is that
Sure.
program, the GIS acronym, I know I like looking at the assessor's office one, the mapping, is that tied in, or what?
No, it's a little different. We use the first line item, just People GIS. We've had that in place, I'm not sure how long since I've been here, and that does a lot of forms and data, back-end database. This is just another offering that they do. So it's called GIS, but it's a different system.
Okay. And just new line item is the stipend, social media stipend?
Oh, yes.
What's that?
That is, it's partly funded through my budget and
And
emergency
cable access.
cable access.
For support cost for Amanda, who is not only for Chris Hugo in cable access, but for emergency management as well. So when things need to be posted on social media, she's called at any time during an emergency situation that requires a posting, and she will make sure that those proper postings take place.
That includes postings to the website as well, notifications.
Okay.
And does that, I mean, that's sort of the age we're in now, is that your office that sort of monitors and checks?
Yes.
Comments that may not be,
Yep,
shouldn't be on there?
yep, that's through my office. Yeah.
So that's kind of it's kind of an ongoing
Exactly.
24/7 sort of task.
Right.
And I take it that's Amanda in the back?
Yes. Yeah.
Saw her hand go up in the corner.
Yeah, that's Amanda.
The name was better.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all, thanks.
That's it. Any other questions? So the info technology budget is $186,420, $24,080 increase over prior year, 14.83%, largely in the hardware, software, maintenance area. That's by far the biggest increase within this. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. And to this, yeah. Capital, CIP. We're on it tonight, Ed. Okay. So the info technology capital budget, we've got in the furthest out year, fiscal '23, an addition of $50,000, and that's including computer replacement, which will be a third year of computer replacements, and server upgrades on that. I'll just open up to any questions in any year on the CIP that we might have for Mike. No, we good on this? No, nothing? I was looking for a vending machine or something stuck in there, so, good. Mike, thanks, appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Always easy. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
We're going to skip over the cable TV. Chris isn't here yet, and I would like him here for his budget. So if, Eddie, if he can't make it by the time we're done with Darlene, please come on up. Caleb, squeeze it all in, that'd be great. Yeah, if Chris can't make it, Eddie, I'd like to reschedule, because I would like him in for his budget, that's important, so.
I can move over there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming in. I know you guys are busy. So we've got the Department of Development and Inspectional Services, Darlene Coyle, Director, is here. Caleb Moody. Darlene, quick overview on what you've got. My summary on this, and please add to it, is the economic development position is the biggest piece of the increase in your overall budget in that. But obviously, there's more going on than that, so it's all yours.
That's correct. Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Thanks for coming.
So for the budget overview, the economic development position is obviously new for our department this year. The position has been filled by Shannon Regan, and she is actually in that role currently, so just recently in that role. She's not physically in our department yet. We do have renovations actively going on, but we are hoping to be able to bring her over the first week in April. So that we're expecting. DPW is just doing an amazing job, and they're going as fast as they possibly can. So they expect to have some workspace that we will be able to have room for her in early April. So that budget, you'll see, is new for us. We do have the salary and some supply, travel, educational items, just typical for what we expect that position will need to be able to meet with businesses and traveling around town and so forth. And actually, just a side note.
Sure.
To help with that, we just actually got a call today. So I think at one of the recent last meetings, we had told you about a new DDIS vehicle that we had ordered. So we actually got the call today, so we think it should be here anytime. So much needed, so we'll be able to kind of be able to have our staff be able to go out into the field.
Good.
We're always
All-wheel drive?
fighting for cars, yes.
All-wheel drive.
Absolutely.
Good, we did
Yep.
get that.
That was the extra transfer, so thank you very much.
And without jumping ahead into the CIP, the ones that are in there,
Yes.
are those priced up for all-wheel drive?
Yes.
Had that been adjusted?
Absolutely.
To cover that in the future? I know there's some in the out years.
Yeah, we do,
Good.
so,
Once again, without jumping ahead at that.
sure,
so.
I can answer those when you're ready, but we
Right.
did accommodate for that.
Good, okay. What I'd like to do is just announce you've got multiple divisions within the department. I want to just go through the subtotal on each one of those, not to vote on it, but just if there's any questions we might have on that particular divisional budget. And then after we go through those, if there's any final questions we might have on the total department budget. Okay?
Sure.
The first division is the Public Health Division. Amount requested by town manager is $235,590, which is a bit of a, actually, if I'm looking at this correctly, it's a little higher than your department request, and it's a 2.31% increase over prior year. Let's see, what
No, it's
adjusted?
lower than this.
235, I'm sorry, it's a reduction in that. Gotta get my glasses checked. So within that, I see nuisance remediation, there is no budget for that. What would have that been?
Sure, so we actually took that out of the budget. I was able to work with Ed, and we actually have that in its own kind of revolving account now. So we've built up over the past couple of years. We've used that money for example, for houses that we've had to do cleanouts or correct some immediate safety violations. So that has been a great help. So we don't actually have to have it in the budget. because we have a revolving account for that, and we do have a balance of, I think, about $7,500.
Yeah, that, excuse me, that revolving account was approved by a vote of town meeting. Several years ago, there were several previous budgets that appropriated roughly $2,500 that we used as seed money to front those cleanup costs. Since when those cleanup costs are done, there's a lien placed on the property, so when the money comes back in, it goes back into the revolving account.
So this account should go away in terms of a budgeting tool.
So we're hoping now that there's adequate funds in there, it will be self-supportive. If in fact the revolving account is depleted because there's a delay in the reimbursement, then in the future, we may come back asking for an additional appropriation or transfer until we get reimbursed for those funds.
Okay. Any other questions on this division budget? Okay. The next division budget, this will be the planning division. Amount requested $80,918, which is a reduction from prior year of 17.26%. Any questions on this? Kim, go ahead.
The energy manager position, have you eliminated that position?
Great question. So last year, we listened to the Finance Committee, and at that time, we had there was actually an opportunity and a vacancy where the energy manager, the part-time position had left, and we took that role and put it with the town planner, because they were very familiar with the projects and so forth. At that time, we wanted to monitor to see how that would work for the year. And I know Finance, Mr. Kennedy had also expressed, just to make sure we're not overloading any one role. And so we did watch that this year. There is a lot in energy as far as with the Green Communities grants, and we have a streetlight project that is being proposed. So there's a lot of things that are coming to us, a lot of successes that we've had in the program, and our planner is doing a really great job with handling that. However, we do recognize that we want to be able to be there for grants and any opportunities that may come up. So we want to balance out those responsibilities. So we actually have a part-time energy manager position proposed, so similar to the way it was set up last year. And we're fortunate to be able to have that covered by the municipal aggregation account. So there's money that comes in from municipal aggregation that could actually cover the cost of that. So it would be something that would be budget neutral.
Okay. And that's not in here, correct, in terms of part of the budget?
It's not in the proposed budget. It's not in the money that we're asking because it's offset by the municipal
Okay.
aggregation funding.
That's fine. And I think the other,
We're having discussions as to what would be the best fit or the best model for Auburn. We continue to have those discussions. Right now, the town planner has additional duties and responsibilities that assist, and he is our actual energy manager now. But we're talking about a part-time position that will scale that back a little bit because his plate is full. He's got a lot going on the planning end of things. So it's something that we continue to talk about, and we'll be making some type of recommendation in the near future.
okay.
A question to that. What is the municipal aggregation fund?
So the municipal aggregation fund is a rate that we get the residents, we go out and we get a rate for the residents of the community, a discounted rate. As a result of that, we're allowed to add what they call an adder onto that rate that would provide monies back to the municipality for green energy and for energy efficient type initiatives. That could include administrative costs as well as some capital costs that help reduce costs for the municipality.
So this is for electricity and electrical costs?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
What's up? And of note on this, the economic development position was in here in fiscal 18. It's since moved to its own division, so the biggest part of the drop in this particular division budget was the move of that position to its own division budget. Any other questions on this, Kevin? And then
Just briefly relative to that and using some of those funds, does each department do their own grant writing? Or does it come out of your office? I mean, I know that grant writing in itself is a skill set that's, and it's, labor intensive in terms of, and they're hugely helpful. I mean, there's so many, every budget seems to have some grant that's offsetting costs.
We don't have per se, a grant writer. We're all grant writers. So if there's an opportunity for a department to apply for any potential grant funds, we do so at the department level, and we'll funnel that through the town manager, and it ultimately comes before the board for their approval to apply for and accept any type of grant funds.
There are some grants that are like annual grants, so we have approvals for amounts of money for grants, and then once we complete all the projects and we report back to the state, in this case, DOER, that makes you eligible for the next set of grants. So there's projects, as we complete projects and we start to see improvements in energy, it kind of opens the door into the next grant cycles for, for different things. So we've had a number of improvements here with the boiler, the library with windows, a number of them at the schools. Different schools have the HVAC and different things throughout the building. So the energy manager works closely with schools and our town buildings, facilities, to identify what projects kind of make sense as we go forward.
Yeah, once we were designated a green community, we apply for annually up to $250,000 of funds through DOER. This, I believe, would be the fourth year of our application, and we received anywhere from 165 up to 220, in that vicinity, over the last 3 years. So we're getting substantial funds as a result of that designation. Matt has been applying for, under the Green Community DOER grant, an annual application for funds. We do have a request in now for $250,000. I think the grant this year is primarily geared towards the replacement of LED streetlights.
Streetlights.
So that grant has been filed. We will get word on that probably June, July timeline. But there is a warrant article in the event that that grant should not get approved to authorize a borrowing to get that project done, because we are getting credits, energy credits, in addition to the money that we have to put up to get that project completed. And there are some long annual savings as a result of doing that.
Okay.
A lot of the timelines, in order to keep the projects moving, a lot of the timelines, you have to have something in the works. So right now, we do have a company that's doing assessment on the lights. We'll have the town meeting warrant. So it is moving forward, but there's always something to be doing.
Yeah, town meeting approved an initial $100,000. Have 3 of those scopes of services completed that would lead to this next phase. So that was an audit, it was design, and it was actually the purchase of, I don't recall how many streetlights that are not owned by the town that will now be owned by the town as a result of that acquisition.
Right. Kim?
Eddie, for you, why is the position, the energy manager position, not showing in here and offset as with available funds?
So, actually, this recommendation, and this is part of the discussion now, because there was a discussion during the budget time to create a new part-time energy manager position, as well as a consideration for a potential assistant town planner, a combined position that was in place when Eric left. So that position was alive and well a year and a half ago. So, yes, normally there is an offset, Kim, but I think they wanted to front-load the town planner strictly through tax levy, and then the position we're discussing now would create that offset through an available fund when it is created.
And you just create it outside of the budget?
No, it would have to come by way of probably a fall town meeting amendment, so there would be an appropriation offset by an
Okay,
available fund.
all right. So it's just
Yeah.
premature?
Right.
Okay.
Is that timeline expected or hopeful for fall town meeting?
Well, we want to have some discussions with both Darlene and Caleb, the assistant, to determine what best fits in the department. Now, certainly, there have been a number of changes in the department. They are currently interviewing for a inspector's position. We lost a position. We lost Eric, so we need to see, I guess we need to analyze the current workload and what model would best fit going forward.
Okay, good. Thanks, Kevin.
Just based on that, so the increase in the town planner's salary for this year, is that partly because he was absorbing additional duties from the energy managers?
So, I believe the town planner's position was making currently 2% less than the $60,950, because the position is partly energy manager, and he is getting funds through that aggregation account.
If I may. So the salary for the last fiscal budget was $59,754, and it is a 2% increase for this. Matt is still doing both those duties
Okay.
of the planner and obviously the energy manager. What we would like to do is, if the finance is favorable to it, we'd like to bring that part-time position for the energy manager back. Matt is very knowledgeable about all of the projects, and last time we had that position filled, it was, for those two positions, they kind of supported each other for the different projects. So what we would like to do is have kind of the same setup. So if we get an energy manager in there, Matt would basically oversee to make sure that the projects that he knows well are getting done. With a part-time position, we want to make sure that the needs are met for the energy manager position in the grants.
I think it was showing a little differently in the budget book for last year. Did it show total salary with an offset coming from aggregation underneath?
It did,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have,
So this budget here is a little misleading, only because it looks like there's a big jump there, when actually his current salary is 59. So I think we're going to amend this by putting a footnote down at the bottom.
Yep.
To show that, and break down the components of his salary.
Does that answer your question, Kev?
It does, it does. That's just, looking at it, looks like there was a big jump, and I didn't know if
Yeah,
that was...
absolutely.
And just,
Sure.
while you're looking
Go
at
on.
positions, are there people out there that have the skill set for a part-time energy manager position, or should this be looking towards, a true assistant town planner position being put back in, which would have the knowledge of the entire operation with their primary responsibility being, or some of their offset for salary being from the energy funding? Just, you've had some people, good people leave just this year alone, and, if you lose somebody like that, do you have other people that can step right in and keep that operation rolling?
Sure, great point. It is something that we have discussed, and I think that the discussions continue. I know that, I think there was us looking at whether or not there was a regional opportunity. So other towns may have like a part-time position, and we know that we've had some association with other towns in the area. I think it was Millbury and Sutton, where they may have had like a part-time position. So we were looking at maybe somebody could do a couple of towns, and then it becomes more of a whole position, where each town takes a small piece of that. So it's a great point, and I think that we're trying to see how that would fit. And if we can't have just an energy manager position, we look at having an assistant planner like we did in the last position being filled.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to advertise for these positions, get people to actually apply. I think Caleb will tell you, we've gone out for regular building inspectors, health inspectors, and we're not getting much of a response. That being said, sometimes it forces them to go back out. I think the economy is, right now, there's low unemployment, and most people are working, so it's really tough to attract good people. We try to make some adjustments in the budget that bump those annual salaries up, that makes us more competitive with other area towns and municipalities. Even with those increases in salary, it's very difficult to attract qualified people. So, and that puts a hamper on their department, because they're running an inspector, down one inspector, and so, we're doing the best we can to get these filled on it.
And that's
as
to
quickly
your
as we
point,
can.
Kev, I think where you're going with that is, say, are we looking at a big enough picture within your world to offer something big enough for someone to fill that? It looks like there's a lot of need for hours to be spent on a lot of things.
And that's why we're not in a position now to make any type of
Sure.
recommendation. We're sorting through all of this. We're looking at a regional approach, as Darlene said, to see if that makes sense. We're talking to other communities. So we're going to continue to have those discussions, but certainly we're not in a position now to make any type of recommendation. That's something we would probably bring in the fall.
Okay.
And
Kev?
just through the chair, do you know why, or where, I'm sure these are all coworkers that, have you talked to them? What attracted them? I heard one community that was mentioned as a much smaller community. Is it strictly pay? Is it close to home? My concern is that your office keeps the economy of this town flowing. If people can't get permits and gets things inspected, you've got Shannon, and we'll talk about hers, the economic development in a moment, but if she's bringing in businesses that want to get started, and you don't have the folks to get them up and running, that's concerning. And if it means that we're low on pay, or is it, where, exactly, do you have any idea where it is, or why some of these folks are leaving?
So we do have to look at salaries. I do think that is an area that, in the past, obviously, being in my position for, the 4 to 5 years I've been in DDIS, but we did have a hard time initially keeping people. The town administration has done a great job, trying to build the department, and we're all committed to making positive change. Obviously, you can see physically the changes. We have, software that has been invested in through grants and other opportunities, and we want to, be able to bring people in to make it easier for people to have service here in Auburn. But we did have, just recently, we had the position that it took a long time to fill. So we finally were able to get the local inspector position to full-time because it was very well needed. We got that position to full-time. We got it filled after a number of interviews, and that person stayed just not even a year. So he did get an opportunity in another town, an offer he couldn't refuse. So, I can certainly, Caleb, if you want to jump in on the building end of it.
Yeah, my comment would be, I guess we're not the only community fighting. I've talked to other communities, and it's just the pool is so small for building inspectors. Everyone's having difficulty. Wages have been an issue in the past. I think town staff's made huge steps to better that, and we're just not getting the applicants.
Here's what concerns me, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
We had a good health inspector, trained for a period of time, went from part-time, we made a recommendation for full-time. Individual never started full-time, had another offer from another community for more money. In all cases, these other communities are paying more money, that are taking our trained employees who we're investing in, unfortunately, and they are moving on because the pay is better. So I will say it's attributable to pay. I think these individuals would tell you that this is a great community to work in, but they are leaving because they have an opportunity, career opportunity, in some cases, to move up the ladder, but they're primarily leaving because of pay. That being said, going back to Caleb's comments, the pool is shallow. There's not much out there. So when we're losing these people, we can't fill those positions because in most cases, qualified people aren't applying for the position. So it's causing a delay. There's a backlog in some cases because we don't have the manpower to put someone out in the field to stay current with the permits. To Kevin's point, we need to stay current with that to bring in new growth because that allows more revenue to come through the door. So it really is an important piece to the vitality of the town. So we're trying to address this by raising these pays in order to attract more qualified individuals.
So we're suffering a little bit of the old penny wise, pound foolish, but we're catching up with that. I know, Julie, we've had conversations, multiple, regarding trying to address those. And we've got a shallow pool of candidates. I've been hearing that for a few years, so. Within a municipal environment and a strong economy, it's just kind of the worst of all worlds in terms of doing that. Okay? So, no, good to hear that anyways. And I'm glad you guys are taking your time to try to get things right in terms of next step with this, within a bigger context of trying to get yourself fully staffed.
So, Mr. Chairman, at a later time, I mean, we'd have to sort through this. We may be coming back looking for some corrections to those inspectors' wages in order to make us more competitive. I know we've made some adjustments already, but we may have to make some additional corrections.
I know I've gotten calls in the past from contractors and that kind of thing, just to try to get things moving. You guys have responded fantastically. This was a couple of years ago when you guys were caught with down a few people, and I don't even know if you had someone answer the phone most of the time. It was just a bad timing. So 2 years ago, I think it was
At one
crazy.
point, yeah, you're exactly right. At one point, we didn't have a planner, a building inspector, or, and we didn't even have the other positions. We didn't have animal control. I mean, we have come so far. We really have. But it's been a challenging, the past about year and a half. You know, we're getting going. We finally get, you know, the positions to be full-time. We actually get, you know, approval for the staff. We get the staff up and trained, and then they leave, and it's like, okay. So you have to
It's gotta
start
hurt.
over. I mean, we're committed to starting over. We will get it right. It's just, you know, as long as you understand where we're from, and we will keep trying till we can get the right people in those positions.
I believe it's been a long time since this board pushed back with any kind of ferocity in terms of salaries or whatever. We're certain that Julie, Ed, you guys have the pulse on what you need salary-wise to keep good people here. We know you're training them, and we see a lot of good people come through the door, so I'm not saying this is a welcome mat in terms of whatever salary you need on that, but, you know, I'm sure we want to work with you to make sure you get the tools you need to be successful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more on that? We'll go to the economic development budget. So this is a new budget, 53,000 in total is recommended for this. Last year actually was the $25,000 half-year salary, which started January 1st, which is technically starting next week, 2 weeks.
She's actually in the position already, so
Yep.
she's taken on some of the functions of that position in a dual role, so she's still serving the needs for the Board of Selectmen's office. But it's my understanding that the administration has filled her position, and that is expected to start in the beginning of April, and we'll also have Ms. Regan over in our space the beginning of April as well.
Okay. Any questions on this? And I knew you were going to ask a question.
Well, it's not so much a question, it's a comment. I think this is
Exactly.
the most exciting, I think, piece of the budget for the year, is that there's somebody in this role. I know the town manager is, that's her background coming from the city of Worcester, and, you know, I question it. I mean, she's got to get her feet wet, but you know, hopefully, you know, this will expand as time goes along, because this is the drive. This is the, you know, to fill some of these sites and buildings we see around town that have, you know, the real estate companies' names on them, and some forward thinking in terms of bringing businesses here, and the location, you know, doesn't get any better than Auburn, and you know, for her to start making these contacts and getting out there and going to these meetings and these conferences and selling the town is, I think it's a truly exciting piece of this year's budget.
We're excited about it, too. She's already, the great part about working in Julie's office for the past year and a half or 2 years that she's been here, she's already made a lot of those contacts. So she's already met a lot of the people that she's going to be seeing in her new role.
Very good. All right, any other questions on that division budget? Okay. The Building and Code Enforcement Division, the requested budget is $164,478, a 5.37% increase over prior year. I guess my only question is, I saw a big increase in the local inspector salary. What's going on with that position?
So as we said before, that's a position that went from part-time to full-time. It's now full-time. what we paid the person for fiscal 18, we didn't feel was high enough, so Julie and Ed made it available, so we upped it to a 50,000 to 59,000 range is what we advertised. And we didn't get one applicant that's licensed, so anybody we bring into that from the pool that we have, we'd have to put through testing and get them trained. And
then they go somewhere else.
What's the cost of doing that outside of time, which has got its own
I
value?
mean, I think the time is the biggest thing. It's probably, it would take a year for someone to work full-time and get licensed. The cost, I think, is around $2,000.
Okay. Any other questions on this, Kevin?
Just briefly, I mean, that just goes right to the point of, the discussion you had, regarding salaries and overall looking at where our salaries are from, the very top to the very bottom of, if we can't get inspectors in here, and then now our inspectors are at a rate higher than our, person that's doing our economic development, and across the board, I'm amazed at the quality of the employees. In doing this for the last couple of years, the quality of the employees that we still attract based on their salaries and what their comparative or in other municipalities or the private sector. So, I mean, I really, I almost want to support, that getting the salaries coming up in line of where they should be and holding off. I know CIP and long-term capital stuff is great and things to have, and
Yep.
but some of those things you almost want to say, let's shelve them for a little bit and
Right.
get some of these folks and get, compensate them to where they should be compensated. But that's,
We can only get so much mileage out of offering an all-wheel drive car, right? Your point's made.
Yeah, get a four-wheel drive Segway, and I'd rather have a, competent inspector and, some muck boots and have them, hump it out to the job site, but, yeah, okay.
We're all certainly appreciating that.
I'm not suggesting muck boots over for a vehicle, but.
The Conservation Commission division budget, that's requested at $14,227, flat funded over prior year, 0.96% increase. Any questions on that? All right. The last division budget is animal control, and animal control amount requested by town manager, $61,800. That's an increase, I'll do this in my head, of, that looks like close to 9% over prior year. Any questions on that?
Question?
Ann?
Yeah, on the vaccinations, are they going on the warrant, did I remember? How come the cost has declined?
So for that vaccination budget, we had proposed that's actually fairly new within the past 2 years. So that line item was added for actually two purposes. So we have staff, we have backup coverage for our animal control officer. The animal control officer is basically 24/7. So when the phone rings from the police, they have to answer it and respond. So for our full-time animal control officer, basically Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, pretty much Monday through Friday, she responds day and night. We were able to get backup coverage for two part-timers. Those part-timers, we had to get vaccinated, so they actually had to go through the rabies prophylaxis series, so that when they're handling animals, they, God forbid,
Right.
get bit, they are protected. So we have that in place. All of our staff has been vaccinated, so we're okay there. However, we also have to send out rabies specimens. So if for example, somebody calls and has a bat in their house and the bat bites or comes into contact with a human, we have to actually send that specimen to the state lab. That process So we have to make sure the bat is euthanized. We have to prep it for sending to the state lab. The state lab does not charge us for that testing, but everything that we do to get it there. So if there's a vet charge, the shipping charge has to go overnight. So it's, I think it's like $41 and change every time we have to send a specimen. So there's approximately a charge for each one. Because we don't know exactly how many specimens we're going to have in a year, I think our highest one, maybe last year, was 8 or 9 specimens. So it becomes something that, okay, let's take what we think might cover it, and that's how we put that together. So we've monitored that over the past couple of years, and we feel that $1,000 is kind of a good
Gotcha.
point. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Any other questions, Kev?
Just, how much do we take, the monies that we take in for licensing for, does that go just general fund, is that correct? And does,
But no.
no? does
That goes into it's an available fund that's reserved, so it doesn't go into the general fund, and then we vote out a portion of that as an offset to the operating budget. So I think the amount that was voted for the current fiscal year was $39,000. They're getting about, just about that in dog license fees every year. I want to say 34,000.
Actually higher. So we actually, since Amy has been put into that position, she actually has been here just 3 years. We have doubled the amount of licenses in town, and that's not even licensing all of the dogs. So we're actively, I think you had heard Deb Grimo previously say, we're actively trying to get more people licensed. But the number of licenses has gone from about 1,200 to almost 2,500 last year. And the revenue that we bring in on that, last year was about 41,000.
Right, but the dog license itself, because there is a non-criminal disposition fee, if it's late and it's collected through the clerk's office, it's 2 separate accounts. That portion goes into the general fund, which is about 10,000 and change, and we're getting about 34,000 in regular dog license fees that are paid on a timely basis. So Darlene is correct, but from an accounting standpoint, it's blown apart. It goes into 2 separate accounts. The dog license fee is reserved, and you'll see an offset in your budget summary that is used as an operational offset to our budget.
And last year for the,
And I'll give you that amount in a second.
last year for the citations, so the animal control officer was able to collect over $10,000, $10,400 in citations. So we're working towards, we're not there yet, but we are working towards being able to make sure that everybody licenses their dog in town. We just got actually some really cool reminder cards. We just ordered some. It's a brand-new product we haven't done before in the past. Before, we've sent out letters in an envelope with a full stamp. These will actually be less postage, and it's actually really kind of cool. It's good. It's user-friendly, so if somebody gets it in the mail, it's not as offensive as getting a letter. It's more like a reminder, hey, you need to license your dog. So those you'll see. Well, hopefully you won't see them, but anybody that doesn't license their dog will get them in the mail.
And as a public service announcement, that due date is when?
So the due date is, I believe it's March 30th, and the late fees kick in, I think, May 1st. But we also have, just another public service announcement, we have May 5th, we actually have a rabies clinic and microchipping clinic here at the town hall. So that's a service that we've started. I think this is our third year, if I'm not mistaken. This is our third year of doing it. So the animal control officer coordinates having a mobile vet come to the town hall. Last year, we coordinated with the senior center to have a bus go and pick up elderly if they needed to come, with their pet. So it's really kind of grown, and it's gaining, I think, trying to make it easier for people to get their animals rabies vaccinated and microchipped.
Good. Ed? Thank you.
Just to give the committee an update, $39,000 is currently used in offset in the current year budget. We have $40,000 as an offset recommendation for FY19 from dog license fees.
Good. You all set, Kev? All right. Any other questions on
Yep.
animal control? Ian?
Oh, no, I just have some questions overall.
Okay,
when we're done.
so let's just put it out there, the total department budget request is $610,013, and that represents a 10% increase, $55,000. Really, of that, 25 plus is actually related to the new position, pardon me, Economic Development Coordinator position coming on as full-time after a half-time in the prior fiscal year. So I'll open it up to any final questions before we take a vote on it. Ann?
Yeah, how many vehicles does the department have right now?
Sure. We have one DDIS vehicle. It's Chevy Sonic.
2007 Chevy Sonic.
Yeah, I just want to know how many, yeah.
We have one of those. So it's a small little compact vehicle. And then we have the animal control vehicle is actually an SUV type. So it's a 4-door with a hatch. So that's it.
Just the two vehicles?
Yeah.
Two vehicles?
We have
Really?
one that's on order that we will hope to have any time. So it's another more compact vehicle, but it's going to have all-wheel drive. So we won't be challenged in kind of the weather and some of the sites that Caleb and Health have to go on that are
Right.
kind of rugged and get stuck.
So it'll be 3 then, right?
It will.
Okay, so if there are 2 cars out in the parking lot, does one of those the assessor?
Yes.
Okay. My other question was how many employees are in the department? I counted 8 full-time positions, 2 assistants, backups in the animal control department, and I see 3 clerical positions. Is that about right, or did I miss a clerical position?
Yeah, so we have 3 clerical.
Okay.
3 full-time clerical. We have the 2 in health. We have 2 in building, although one of the positions is not filled. We have planning. We have a grant position for solid waste, so that's
Right.
obviously not a
Yeah.
permanent position. And we have animal control. I think that's all. So, 11.
Okay, so those individual positions, or do you have one person working in a couple of departments?
Well, so we all do what needs to be
Right,
done.
exactly.
So there's not, I mean, we all have our different division lanes.
Right.
But quite honestly, a lot of what we do connects with each other. So, and any case can involve, actually, most recent case involved building, zoning, health, and animal control.
It's good that they're certainly, trained in all the areas, they can help out. But, so how many actual people do you have? Do you have 3 people, clerical, and then 1 opening? Is that
No,
what I understood?
Three total.
Okay.
Admin, clerical.
Okay. So my other question is, the grant position for this, that would be under solid waste, all right.
Yeah, so
it.
that's a grant position, that's not, that's obviously, we just have that as a temporary position.
It's another department, okay, thank you.
But it falls under health.
Yep,
Okay.
okay, that's it.
Any other questions? Okay, amount requested, $610,013. Do we have a motion on this?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thanks, everyone. Our next budget is solid waste. That falls under you, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So solid waste, amount requested is, if I'm reading this correctly, $1,043,981. That's a reduction of almost $40,000 from prior year, if I'm reading this correctly. And, no, I apologize. That was department request. So that's an increase of almost $30,000, excuse me, from prior year. I don't have a percentage on that. I'm going to open this up to questions. And if there aren't any, Darlene, if you have any comments you want to add to it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask about that grant. You probably were going to say it. So how, this is a 2-year grant we're in. Is this year 2?
So, actually, no, we're in year 1.
Okay.
So, for this fiscal budget, we would be going into the next fiscal. However, the position we filled, I think it was September. And they are working out in the field. We have the request for $6,125. So as part of the DEP grant that we received, we had to do a match. So we got $25,000 and we had to do a match for the position. That position works about anywhere from 12 to 18 hours per week. We have them 3 days a week, and basically what they're doing is this grant is looking to reduce solid waste by increasing recycling and bringing awareness of what needs to be put into recycling. So over the past several years, recycling has remained flat. Hasn't really gone down, hasn't really gone up. I think you've probably seen in the news over the past, even the past 6 months, it's become very, a lot of changes in the solid waste world. There are a lot more restrictions on what is going in recycling and what is being shipped overseas. So as part of our contract, we do not pay any extra for recycling. So our hauler that picks up the trash, they take the recycling. They have an outlet for that recycling. However, in the recycling world, the demands on what the product is has gone up considerably. So what you're putting in your recycling toter becomes very important, and the cleanliness of the product becomes very important. So if you're putting banned items, and when I say banned items, so for example, if people are putting in food like pizza boxes, a lot of people have good intentions in putting a pizza box into the recycling bin, but if the pizza box is full of grease and old pizza, can't be recycled. It actually contaminates the load. So what Erica is doing in that position is she is trying to increase awareness of what people actually put into the recycling toter. By getting a cleaner product, we're hoping that it will not create fees for us down the road.
Yep.
So that position, we're very fortunate to have that position. Right now, the state is, does not have, they're not fining the towns for not having clean recycling, but I can see that down the road that's an area that it may go in. So we're ahead of the curve by having this person here, being able to try to create that, try to create it in a positive way with the community. And she's doing a great job at it. But that's why you hopefully are seeing more information out there about solid waste and recycling. So that's our goal. We're putting it into the newsletters, we're putting it into some newspaper and online messaging, and just trying to get the word out.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
There was another hidden public service announcement in there somewhere. Well done on that. Well done. Kev?
Where are we with in our current agreement with our current hauler?
Sure. So we have the agreement is with Republic Services. We have a contract. We are in the third year of the contract. We have 2 more years that we have on this contract. So we're hoping right now that we can continue in the, we're actually fortunate to be in this contract because of the things that I'm talking about. Other towns are kind of looking at what their options are with contracts rates rising. So we're fortunate right now. We're looking at options with town administration too, to see how we can keep those costs down as we move towards the end of the contract in 2 years. So, you know, we'll continue to keep you updated on that, but we're in the contract for 2 more years.
Was there some discussion last year about toters, replacement toter discussion?
Yep, so we have, we're fortunate with DEP, we have a recycling coordinator, Amy Sullivan. Ms. Sullivan has been a tremendous force over the past several years to be able to get recycling dividends funds for us. So the town gets points for doing things right in the solid waste and recycling world. So the more things that we do right, the more points we get. Those points actually equate to money. This past year, we received, I believe it was $8,800, and that money can go towards anything that will help us increase recycling, because the idea, if you increase recycling, you're going to reduce solid waste. So it's a win-win for everybody. In the past, we've used that money to purchase extra recycling toters. So there are a number of people out there. I think we have in the range of maybe 130 or 140 residents in town that actually are what I call kind of like recycling gurus. So they, everybody gets one solid waste toter and one recycling toter. So if you have a family and you recycle everything, you may want to get another recycling toter. You can, we actually have the ability to do that, so you can request another recycling toter. It's just a $25 refundable deposit, so if you move out of town, why you'd want to, I don't know, but if you were to, you'd get that $25 back. It's just the ability for the toter, so you can put more recycling in there. So that's, those are the types of things that we can purchase with that money. We've used that money at the schools before for recycling puppet shows. We've done a number of school programs with that money. So it's meant to kind of help everybody figure out recycling in an easier way.
And one last question, I know this is metal. Have we ever thought of putting a metal dumpster somewhere? I mean, that's the heaviest thing, and this is all based upon weight.
Good question. We actually have a metal dumpster at the DPW. So DPW, as we get rid of items that are owned by the town, I think recently we had some metal desks that we got rid of. Those went in the metal dumpster. So we have for town buildings, we have that dumpster. We have every 2 years, so last year we had it, we work in conjunction, so the town works in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, and they do a townwide cleanup. And so on that cleanup day, we actually have a metal dumpster. So our hauler has been gracious in the past. Republic Services has donated the actual roll-off. So they'll bring the roll-off down, maybe you've seen it. We'll have the roll-off at the fire department, and then people will bring like their lawnmowers, they'll bring old dehumidifiers, just different metal items they'll bring, and we fill up that metal dumpster. So that's actually a service we do every couple of years.
You good? All right. Any other questions on this budget? All right, amount requested, $1,043,981.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Great. Darlene, I think our last budget with you is zoning board? Yeah. If I can find it.
Yeah, way in the back.
Okay, amount requested on this budget, it's flat funded, no, not flat funded, it's $13,410, a 0.96% increase. Any questions on this?
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
time.
Darlene.
Definitely
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Caleb.
Good to see you, Caleb.
Thank you.
Oh, just the
Darlene, the
capital?
capital, is it
Yeah,
only
capital.
one vehicle?
Sorry, yes. So we have,
One day?
sorry about that, capital.
Thanks, Ed. You guys can start without me, go ahead. I can't find it.
So are we getting the online permitting modules this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the $20,000 for the next fiscal year, that request is to piggyback on the People GIS. So I think you heard earlier Mike Marino, the IT director, talk about some of the annual costs. So these annual costs are for actually having these online module. So over the past, well, I think it's been a year, over the past year, we have been working with People GIS with our IT department, and Caleb has spent countless hours of putting together the building online module. That online module is going to allow basically a resident to be able to apply online for a building permit. Currently, right now, you have to come in, you have to do paper copy, paper plans, all that. Caleb has worked with People GIS to be able to come up with a module that will do everything electronically. So that is just about there. We expect to be able to roll that out to the public by May, maybe sooner, but to be conservative, we kind of have a lot going on, physically in the department, so we want to make sure that once we're squared away with the renovations and we're able to get actually a computer out in the hallway to try to make it easier for people. So if people don't have a computer at home, they don't need a computer at home, they can actually come in and you'll be able to do it right here in the hallway. So we're trying to work that out right now to be able to have that. Am I missing anything?
No, just to elaborate on that, the staff's been using the program since October, so they're getting familiar with it. We're working through the bugs, and we hope to open it up to the public. So when we do open it up, if people don't want to apply online and they come in, our staff can help them apply online. And I think Kevin asked Mike the question earlier, is it linked to GIS? It is. Some of the data from the assessing database is linked. So if you put in your address, the map and all plot number, and everything's going to get pulled automatically, so you don't have to go searching at the assessor's office and get information from them, and go to the collector's office and get information. Just going to streamline the whole process, so.
So it's going to be for the building permit, but it says health here.
So actually, I'm sorry, I just wanted to let you know that has already been put in place.
Oh,
So
okay.
we expect to roll that out to the public by May. This $20,000 is actually going to be for the health portion. So what we're hoping for is similar to what Caleb is. We have a lot of obviously, a lot of what we do is permitting establishments. So those establishments would essentially be able to apply online. So to make the process easier, we want to be able to allow people to apply online and pay online. Because right now, it's, people have to send in paper copies, we have to send out applications. With this permitting software, we're hoping to be able to send electronic applications. A lot of the, I guess a lot of the stores that are corporate stores, so, the Outbacks, the Shaws, places like that, they send stuff to us electronically. They'll send us an email, here's our contact information. But a lot of the, we don't have the ability to be able to streamline it.
Got it.
So this will help. Same thing, if it's a small mom and pop place and they need to, they want to send it in online, we're going to have the computer here and the staff to be able to help.
Right.
So we want to try to make it as easy as possible for people, but we also want to meet them where they're at.
Gotcha.
So to be able to be helpful and have the ability, but not, not slow anybody down either.
I
So
gotcha.
that permitting software, we would expect to purchase in the new fiscal year with the CIP money, and we're hoping that once building is up and going, open to the public, that the health one will go easier. Because a lot of the bugs that are being worked out, it's the same staff. So our staff, our admin staff is, we're working on cross-training so that everybody can support each other. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? We're good to go. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Awesome.
So we actually have, we've got
Thank
two
you.
budgets left. We've got the law department, and Chris has arrived to talk about the cable community access budget, so.
Oh, what do you want?
You want to join us up here, Chris?
Where is this?
Let's see.
I was wondering why you were over there.
41.
I just didn't look right. I thought the mics might, oh, they're working, they're good.
Oh, it's right here. The number is here. 154, behind the library.
Library and Senior Center.
Got it.
There it is.
Public services.
There it is. Yes.
All right, so this would be
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's private.
Community TV
Yep.
Division, right? Okay, so we've got requested budget. This is what, second year of this budget. Amount requested, $239,577, a 26.19% increase over prior year. Chris, will you give us just a brief on what this budget is going to accomplish for us?
Well, we saw an increase in equipment replacement costs and in equipment maintenance costs. Right now, I'm about a little over halfway through the year, and I've gone through most of my repair budget and my replacement budget. So this is just trying to reflect what I would expect to spend in a normal year. We're still trying to work out those numbers.
Oh, okay. So the 55,000 is much closer to your annual needs on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and a lot of this is, a lot of these are projects that are budgeted that may not necessarily happen. For instance, the broadcasting facilities in the library and in the presentation room in the high school. We budget them in case they're needed, but I don't want to just spend the money if there's no need. We put the sound systems in because they use the sound systems on a daily basis, and we need the sound systems for any broadcasting that we do. But the video systems will depend upon use. So I just budget in the numbers that we have from the quotes that we receive for the projects.
Okay. You had anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to remind the committee that this is the second year of an approved enterprise fund. So I think Chris is trying to fine-tune these costs because under the old accounting method, he was allowed to charge the receipt reserve account directly, and DOR took a different position on it. So I think Chris is trying to still sort through this based upon actual numbers that he's seeing this year. He's made some adjustments here. There are annual revenues to cover the operational side of the budget, as well as the capital through retained earnings. And that's why we have a contingency account in this department to allow him some flexibility in the event costs are exceeding what he is estimated.
Can we in the future, Ed, footnote this, that this is part of an enterprise fund and kind of backfill on that anyway? Once again, just because it's still a new budget and it's, as this should be, a little bit all over the board till we get an idea on the operation part on this. I'm going to open this up to any questions right now. Anyone?
Just looking at the capital. Oh, so this,
Yeah, anything on the operating? We'll
no,
take a look.
the operating is, I don't have any questions. Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. That part was easy. Now the CIP, which has been a challenge. Just a sec. Ian, if you have a question? feel free.
Yeah, just, where is our, it's an enterprise fund, so where's the revenue coming from? The community, the television?
So maybe Chris, he knows the contract better than I, but you have a 10-year contract.
Yeah, and we have a 10-year contract with Charter Communications. We receive 4.5% of the basic cable rate per prescriber for the town. Per prescriber, it comes out to about $55 per household per year. It averages about
265,000 per year?
Yeah, about $265,000 per year. Plus, we have a CIP we arranged through Charter Communications. The first year was $125,000 toward the purchase of our main studio modifications. We originally budgeted for $250,000. Then we were able to trim that down to $123,000. Then when we brought it out to put it out to bid, we found someone who brought it in for $88,000. So year 5, we get another $125,000, which is now.
I think we're estimating at this time, when we did have this approved by town meeting as an enterprise fund, we transferred all those years of surplus revenue
Right.
over to the enterprise fund. We don't have a certification of retained earnings yet until we close out this fiscal year, but going in, our estimate is about $280,000 of retained earnings.
Okay. Thank you.
Finally.
We don't have to
There it
do
is.
anything with that, right?
No, not really. So can I assume on this, Chris, where we're still very new, that there could be some additional items identified out within 2020 to 2023? Is that
Yes.
still- Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're going to have to be replacing our playback and control system. It's starting to get old, but I did budget that into the CIP for, I don't know, 125? 2020 maybe? Yeah, 20,
Which one is that?
that would be what, 2021? Yep.
The 35,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Shouldn't cost that much. That was based on the previous server control systems we did. Since then, the company that we use has upgraded their system at a lower cost.
Competition, it's a great thing. That's good. So this CIP, just like the operating budget, will be flexing up and down over the next few years still as...
Right, and if there is a situation that is unforeseen or unexpected, he would have the ability to submit a warrant article that would appropriate directly from retained earnings, once certified by DOR, just like SOAR Enterprise does from time to time. But for the most part, if there are planned projects, they will be programmed into the 5-year CIP.
Good. Any other questions? Even better. So, Chris, thanks.
Okay?
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, sorry for being late.
No, not a problem. Your timing actually was
School
perfect.
committee and the
Yeah,
other one,
a little busy.
all by myself.
There you go. So, catch your breath and thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our last budget is the law department, which is 151. Okay. The law department, that's comprised of 3 line items totaling $120,000, same as last year. So this is flat funded. Ed, anything that may put this at risk? Everything steady as she
Well, we
goes?
do have a few matters that are being litigated right now. There is one that is currently before MCAD, and there is one that will be going to arbitration. So, at the risk of not knowing what may flare up, we feel comfortable right now with a level-funded budget, but certainly if there is something that comes on the radar screen that may be long-term, that may require some additional resources, we'll let you know, but hopefully this will suffice.
So that assumes that our spending year-to-date is adequate. I know sometimes bills lag, especially in that world, so may not be a real number that you have.
So general counsel year-to-date, out of appropriation of 75, we spent roughly 47,000, so we're on target
Yep.
to come close to that, hopefully a little shy. On the negotiator side, this is the arbitration case that that is currently ongoing. Total appropriation of 35 year-to-date, we spent $30,400, so we have $4,500 left between now and the end of the fiscal year, which I can tell you will not be enough. So we'll be looking for a transfer in the near future to.
What about the special litigation, I believe?
So special litigation is being used for outside counsel for that MCAD case, which we've expended out of 10,000. We've spent a little over 4, with $6,000 remaining. So that case is, we have to cover the first 10,000 of legal fees, that's our deductible. Anything above and beyond that is picked up by counsel for the insurance company. So we have been provided counsel for this case through the insurance company.
Okay. So we've got some exposure there within this department. Okay. Any other questions on this? So, amount requested, flat funded, $120,000. Is there a motion?
Motion to recommend?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. All right, that concludes our budgets for the evening. A lot of hard work, a lot of budgets there, so great job on that. Next week, we'll be looking at, we're going to revisit the Fire Rescue Department CIP just with a revised sheet on that. I think we had some of the years that shifted around a little bit. The budgets we're going to look at next week, and including their CIP, is Department of Public Services, Veteran Services, Senior Center, Elder Affairs, Department of Public Works, which includes engineering, stormwater, highway facility management, fleet maintenance, parks, Packagug Golf Course, recreation, cemetery, and sewer. We're also going to look at town hall and general services. So that's as far as we go. And we'll be looking at least the library probably on the 11th, I would guess, right, of April. Final CIP vote, and then we have the town meeting warrant. Now, that's closed, right?
Yes.
And so what's that, with council now, just for review?
I believe it's going to the board Monday night to approve and forward to council for his review.
So is the over-under on Articles 30 or 35?
It's just about 30, a little over.
All right. We'll have to whittle that down somehow. All right, so we'll meet again next week. Hopefully, we'll have a quorum, and the weather will be spring-like next week. I have no idea.
Can we get a year-to-date?
Yeah, this would be good time for that. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted.
Would you
Thanks, good night.
prefer
No, hard copies, because...
Okay,
Yes, that would be great.
okay.
All right,
We'll
we're
have it-
adjourned.
we'll have it
Good
for-
night.
Thank you.